So guys, we are going to film this tonight. It's going to be on LinkedIn Live, which is a new platform on LinkedIn. And so I'm going to introduce the show. We're live right now on LinkedIn platform. So let's hear a little noise. Come on. This is Rhett Power. We are on LinkedIn Live. This is a special edition of my program from Rome, Italy. And tonight we're at Silicon Drinkabout. And we're going to drink some beer after this program, I hope. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend, and we're going to do a question and answer.
Yeah.
This time, though, I'm not asking the questions. They're asking me the questions. So,
yeah. Hello, everybody. Well, good evening. Oh, sorry. May I have the mic here? Good evening. Just some introduction to Mr. Rhett. I already met him yesterday night. Rhett Power is the co-founder of Wild Creation, toy startups. Correct me if I say something wrong. That quickly became a market leader when he did the exit in 2014. Actually, he is part of this program from USA, where he already worked, also spent some time in East Europe. And he is part of this program where he and others of his colleagues who comes around the world to inspire and have some inspiration talk. Business won for 2 times in 2018 and in 2017 or 2017 the prize as best business coach for 2018 for small business and entrepreneur. Actually, he is a business coach, and he inspired and helps small, medium company and startups. He's also the author of 2 bestsellers. So we will have this small chat now, but feel free to interrupt me. Raise your hand if you have a question. If you are shy to talk in English, don't worry. Put the question in Italian, we can translate and translate here the reply. Rhett, as a business coach, how many entrepreneurs did you meet just this year, from January?
how many entrepreneurs have I met this year? I talk to entrepreneurs every day, and so I don't know that I could put a number on that. We talk to hundreds of people a year, and when you come to events like this, and I think there are 150, 200 people in the room here, we'll all have a chance to maybe talk tonight. So I don't put a number on it, but I certainly enjoy finding out what people are doing and the exciting things and the exciting services and problems that they're going to solve. Because I think everybody in here is probably a problem solver. Would you raise your hand if you're a problem solver? Yeah. So I think that's what's exciting to me about it, and I don't know what the number is, but I hope it's large. I like talking.
But talking with entrepreneur, which is the most common problem you see from their side, which is the biggest weakness that you see that the entrepreneur that comes to you have?
I would have, before I read the research on this, and there's research to actually back this up. But my experience says it's always one of the common problems that kills a business is poor financial management. And that it's not access to money, it's not actually getting money, it's actually managing what money you have improperly or in a poor way. And so the financial management is a key problem that I work with practically every client.
Thanks. We are in an accelerator, the biggest accelerator in Italy, the biggest acceleration program in Italy. Here, the word is keep pushing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so 365 days in a year.
Yes.
Right? But one of his bestsellers is about work-life balance. So, how can the startup world be synchronized with the work balance life?
There's no way to do that.
Because in the first part, you are really, really focused on working.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, right? I mean, who here has any balance in their life as a startup? Anybody? Because if you raise your hand, I want to talk to you right now and bring you up on stage. Because the honest truth is that there is really, that's your whole focus, that's your life, 24 hours a day. If you're not eating, sleeping, and dreaming, and every minute of the day about your business, you shouldn't be in the business. Because you have to have that dedication and that passion and that drive to really make it successful. And so I think at some point along that journey, I know it took me 5 or 6 or 7 years in to get that balance back and to get some of that time back and to get some of that focus on other things. And thankfully, I had people in my life, partners in my life, a spouse in my life that understood what that commitment was going to be, and they tolerated it for a little while. So I think you really almost have to be married to your business and committed to it like a marriage. And the people that are, I think, can grow a successful business. Now, at some point, you do need that balance back, and you do need to pay attention to your loved ones and your friends and your kids and the other things that are important to you in your life. I started about 4 or 5 years into the business. I started taking Wednesdays out of the office, and what I would do on that Wednesday is I'd go to a coffee shop and I would sit down and get all the important things done that I needed to because I couldn't get them done in the office. I started taking weekends off and started doing my hobbies again, the things that I really enjoy in my own personal life. That made me a better boss when I was able to get to that point. But I think in the phase that a lot of people are in this room, you really have to be married to it, and I think that that's okay, because that's just what it is.
Thanks. You started talking about your work-life balance, but can you say us more about your entrepreneur side? So something more about wealth creation, about how you started your startup, and if you can share some inspirational things about it.
Sure. I'm a big proponent of following your gut. I don't know if there's how does that translate? And following your heart. When I was 34, I was working in a consulting company internationally. I had gotten to live in about 8 countries. I was making really good money. Got to travel, got to fill up my passport with stamps and go places, and had a really good career, I would say. But there was something in my gut that said, you're not doing what you need to be doing. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that was. I had no idea what that was. But a friend of mine he and I had been drinking beer and eating pizza every Friday night for about a year, and we were talking about why were we working for this consulting company and not doing our own thing. So one day we said, well, let's just quit and let's go start a business. We didn't know what kind of business, but we knew that we wanted to do something. And so we started looking for companies to buy. We thought, we're management consultants, we can buy a company that's in trouble, turn it around, and fix it and take it somewhere else, take it to a high level. So we did. On that day, we turned in our resignation, and we set about to look for a company that needed our help. And we looked, and we looked, and we looked, and we looked. The funniest company I found was a dead body removal company. In the US, I don't know about here in Italy, but in the US, if you pass away, they contract a company to take you to wherever you go next. But he had an EBITDA of $4 million, and he had a patent on a body bag, a bag that they put the body in. It was a very, very good business. But I couldn't, it wasn't, but we found a little toy company that had one product, and he had no books, he had no papers, he took us to the bank and showed us a deposit box full of cash and said, I make money, I make a lot of money. And we said, wow, that's dangerous. We have no idea what this guy's doing. My lawyer, my friends, he said, if you buy this business, I will not be your friend anymore. This is awful. But we loved it because we went with him for 2 weeks. We shadowed him around. And every time he took his product to an event, the children were crazy all weekend for this toy. And so we fell in love with it. So we made a tactical or strategic, probably bad decision, but it was what we got excited about. And so we bought that business, and that's the business that we were able to make one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. That's the company we won 40 awards for innovation and products. And so it was the right thing for us.
Now,
So follow your passion.
What's the role of diversity in your company?
Okay. Who here is a CEO or a head of their company? Okay.
No ladies.
Who's a partner? Anybody a partner? Everybody a partner?
No. Yeah.
Okay. How about women? Can you stand up that are partners or leaders? Women. Okay.
Very, very small.
Yes. Okay, so the question is, what is the role of diversity in your business? Once I stepped out of the role as a leader in my company, and I began consulting other companies, and I began coaching and having a different view from the outside of most companies. A couple of things I began to think about and realize. And I'll say this, we all have unconscious bias, and what I mean by that is we all have bias that's inside of us that we can't help. I have it, you have it, everybody has it. It's not a bad thing, or it's not a bad thing, it's just normal, it's natural. What I think a lot of the research, McKinsey has just come out with some good research, and some other consulting firms and some other research is being done of the role of diversity and inclusion in our companies. And you asked me about my company. One thing that was apparent to me and to my business partner, early on was that a lot of the people that we had at the table looked like us and probably thought like us. Now, this was a children's toy company. There were a bunch of men around the table. Men don't typically buy toys, right? And so what we realized is that we had to have a more diverse team in our team, so that we made better product. We made product that everybody thought was a good product. If I'd have kept making product that I thought was interesting, we'd have been in trouble. So a lot of the research now is really bearing out that when we hire diverse teams, we hire women, we hire minorities, we hire people that don't look like us, a couple things really happen. Innovation goes through the roof, okay? The numbers and the sales and your performance goes through the roof. It really does enhance your team. And I think as leaders in your businesses, it's your responsibility as the CEO and the officers in your company to make sure that that happens, to make sure that you're conscious about your hiring, and that you're conscious about the way you bring on and build your culture. Since a lot of you guys are startups, doing it from the very beginning is a lot easier. And I guarantee you, technology, unlike 10 or 15 years ago, everybody's got technology now. Everybody's got a lot of the same tools. We've got the same kind of thing that you have access to. Your competitors have access to it too. So as leaders of your companies, I think it's really, really important that you give yourself an edge. And the way you give one of the ways you give yourself an edge today is having a diverse team. And if you don't, I think that's going to be to your disadvantage.
Thank you. Yesterday we met, and we talked about also, you mentioned the fact about the audition of Mark Zuckerberg to the US Congress, about the question that a Congresswoman asked on how Facebook makes money. So basically, the US Congress was not totally aware on how business in Facebook works. And I didn't want you to interrupt yesterday, but I had a question from yesterday.
Okay.
So, and that is, what do you think is happening now? Because technology is going really fast, and policy making is really slow. How can we synchronize these things? Do we have to believe in the ethics of us as entrepreneurs? So do we have to trust ourselves, or do you think it's needed something different way to manage this? Because as we were talking also with Laura, between Europe and US, there is some kind of different approach. In Europe, everything is avoided until it's allowed.
Right.
In the US, everything is allowed until it's avoided.
Right.
Yeah, we have a really, really strong regulation in the markets. In the US is the opposite until there is a regulation that finds that something is not working well.
Right.
So how for you can be the right balance of it? Do we have to believe more in, do we have, give us some kind of not solution, but your vision of it.
I wish I could come up with a solution. I think that it is what it is.
Of course.
I mean, and that's kind of my mantra in terms of government. And, again, we're problem solvers when we're faced with a regulation or an issue like that. We always try to find a way around, right? I think that's common in any place I've ever worked. I've worked in over 40 countries, and entrepreneurs find ways around the system. And that can be good or bad, obviously, and I think there's got to be a healthy balance of regulation. Regulation, I think, protects our environment. I think it protects our safety. I think it protects, and I think that's good. And because there are bad actors out there that will do anything for money. On the other side of that, I think government does move slow. And you're absolutely right. The pace of innovation and the pace of change and the pace in the next 10 years is going to accelerate even more.
Especially for the future. What's done now is done.
Right. And so that's going to pose a lot of challenges, I think, to regulators to keep up. You referred to the Facebook example. So in our Congress a few years ago, or not so long ago, Mark Zuckerberg was faced with a question from a member of Congress who asked him, Facebook is free, so how do you make money? And he said, well, we sell ads. And the look on their face was, what? And so regulators, I think, no matter where you are in the world, struggle to understand the technology and the implications of it. I think it's our job as entrepreneurs to I know our associations, there are associations and things that are supposed to advocate for us. I think we have to be stronger voices. I think we have to push. I was in a conversation this afternoon about how sometimes we have to push regulators to the point of action, right? And so I would say that sometimes we need to be better political activists ourselves and push for that change and push for that education and push for what we think we need to make. Because I do think that government is supposed to create the infrastructure and the atmosphere for us to be able to be successful and create jobs. But I think sometimes we need to push them in the direction.
Thank you. My planned questions are finished. Is there someone that want to have the chance now to put some question? Don't worry about the English. Feel free to ask in Italian. We are here for help you.
We have translation.
Yeah.
So.
A lot. Vale?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Valentina Primo. I'm from Argentina. I'm an entrepreneur.
Excellent.
I wanted to know, so in the Book of Actions, I haven't read it yet, but
Shame on you.
shame on me.
I'm teasing.
I wanted to know if you can give us some advice on how do we do it? How do we cope? What are the habits that we can incorporate to cope with the stress of trying, we were talking a few days ago, and it's sometimes even fake it till you make it, pretending everything is going all right and you're really, really struggling. So what are the habits that you think we can acquire and we can incorporate to our lives to really cope with all the stress?
That's a great question, and I can say that sometimes you can just break down and cry. That is okay. That's very cathartic. But seriously, I think there are a couple things. Number one, have somebody a friend, a business partner, or do you have business partners? No, by yourself. Okay, that sucks. Okay, that's all right. Okay, do you have a really good friend that's not in business? Okay, have that friend pull you out once a week to go to dinner, to do something that you enjoy, to get your head out of the game for 6 hours or 7 hours or a night. Make sure that you take that time off to spend with some friends, do some things that you like, and get out of it for a little while, and that really does help, if you can do it. What kind of business is it, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a social business. It's a social business that started in Egypt, so a big part of the team is in Egypt, and we do things in different countries. We support refugee and migrant entrepreneurs.
Okay. So yeah, I would get a friend that can pull you out and keep you honest and say, you're going out on Saturday night, you're not staying in the office. I would pick a day of the week maybe. Can you cut your phone off, and some of this might be about scheduling your time. Do you feel like you get pulled in all the directions all the time? One of the things I do with a lot of my clients is their time management. And I have, the way I manage my day, I used to have a list of things I had to do. Now I have blocks of time. So everybody on my team knows that from 9 to 11, I'm doing this, and don't interrupt unless the place is on fire. Set some ground rules for your time. And the other thing is, let me ask you this: how many things that you do you shouldn't be doing?
How can I know? How many things I should be doing?
Are there things that you're doing? Are there things that you're doing in your day that you shouldn't be doing, that are wasting your time?
No.
Okay. You have to be brutal. The successful people I've met in life and in business, they're really, really religious about how they spend their time. and they're very, very strict on how and when they spend their time and what they spend it on. And I would say your life will improve drastically if you get rid of some of the things that are causing you stress and aren't productive uses of your time. So I can talk to you a little bit more about that afterwards, but that's one thing that you can do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, this is not working. Other question?
Hi. A lot of people these days are multi-potential, right? So they are
I love that.
inclined to do a lot of things, you know. So the problem is to actually do few things, because if you do a lot of things, you do them really, really bad. So what is your vision on telling also other people around you, I am not able to do all the things you could trust me on, because if I do all the things, I will do really, really bad, but I can do one things now, and then do things within 1 year or so, consequential big tasks.
That's a great question. And all I would say is you have to learn to say no. It's a skill that I did not really understand until I started the business. And everything happened. If people came to me with their problems in the business, when you start making a little bit of money, people start coming to you with opportunities and things that they want you to do. They want you to sit on a board. They want you to consult with them on their business. People want your, people come in the door for advertising money. They want you to advertise. You get pulled in so many directions. And I think that it goes back to what I said here. I think you've got to really manage your time and say, I can't do that for you right now because I can't do it well. If I can't do it well, I'm not going to do it. And I can help you find somebody that maybe can help you. I can, somebody on my team that might be able to handle that. I don't know the specific instance that you're talking about, but learning to delegate those tasks is really, really important because you have to be focused on really the details that are going to help you grow the business and that are the most use of your time. I think becoming so focused, uber focused on those important tasks and getting rid of all that other stuff that you can get rid of is really, really important. And you have to be really, really, really strict about it and disciplined about it.
Other question?
Hi, I'm Alessio. Especially with startups, we are told to run. You have to do this quickly. You have to scale up. You have to go everywhere. You have to be everywhere. And then you burn out. Usually this happens. I like what you're saying, take time to rest, take time for yourself, and so on. Do you think there should be a trade-off between your need to go as big as you can with your company and your need to go as long as you can with yourself in your life, not to die young? And where should it be?
I think everybody's got a different tolerance, and only you can answer that question for yourself. I think when the pressure, when you feel your head's about to explode, it's probably time to take a Saturday night off. When you have to, if you feel like you're angry or you're not happy, it is time to take an afternoon off and get your head straight. I think, entrepreneurship is a push, man. It's a grind, and it's not for everybody. And so sometimes the best advice is go get a job somewhere else and get out. That's the honest answer for a lot of people. So that's a question I don't really ever know the answer to, because it's everybody is different. Everybody's got a different breaking point. Everybody's got a different tolerance for pain. Everybody's got a different tolerance of being able to work 18, 20 hours a day for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So I think that's a personal thing. But when you feel yourself at that point, you have to take a break. You have to take a couple days, a day, whatever it is you need to recharge. And so that's how I would answer that question. You'll know when it's time. So, and listen to that though. That's the important thing, is to listen to that voice in your head that says, "Man, you gotta get out for a little bit." And hopefully you have a business partner. I had a business partner, and God bless you, because I feel for you. I had a business partner, and so we could check each other, right? And say, "Hey, I gotta get out for a day. I gotta get out for 2 days." And we understood that was for us to be better and to be our best selves. That's what we had to do. So if you have a business partner, set it up. I mean, write it down. Say, okay, every other Saturday or every other Friday, I'm out. If you have somebody that can cover you, make sure you do that, because that makes you better.
Thank you. Other question?
Make your business partner your accountability partner. Right? Work that into each other's schedules so that you have some. I would put it on the calendar and mark it down and be religious about it if you can.
Thank you. Other questions? Don't be shy.
Come on, guys.
Come on. When you have a chance, let's chat again. No one? Thank you. So, thanks for your time.
Yes.
And feel free, anyway, Rhett will stay with us also for networking part. So if you are just shy to talk in public, reach him out immediately after this photo. Thank you, Rhett.
So thank you.